All right, Shalom. I want to start by saying, Call halal, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles of Israel, aka the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and love to all the Akim, consider to preach the truth and all truth and sincerity. All right, real quick, came across this article. Well, actually, a brother had posted it, and I went to look it up. And quite simple, really. Now, as what's going on right now as far as America, there's a lot of things going on with America, but there's one in particular, this whole thing about America and going into Greenland, whether it be to purchase it or to take about military forces, with the talks have been. Now, come to find out, Trump has been speaking on acquiring Greenland since his first term, with 2019. And whatever happens, whatever, that he got out of office. I don't remember Biden ever talking about it or whatever, but now he's back in his second term, and now he's talking about it again. And now this dude has been on a rampage as far as taking things and conquering, if you will, doing certain things as far as taking shit. Now, as of right now, or not right now, but Greenland, which is a part of Denmark, which Denmark is a part of NATO, they're not too keen on this thing that Trump is trying to do with acquiring Greenland, because basically, I'm bringing out an article that says that Greenland is not for sale. Now, he's been talking about purchasing Greenland, or if not purchasing it, taking it by military force. Now, as of right now, they say that Congress or whatever is not really going through with approving this, but, only time will tell. And obviously, this dude has done things without Congress's consent before. So this is from BBC, and it reads, it says, "We choose Denmark over U.S., Greenland's PM says," which is where I got the title from. It says, Greenland's prime minister has said his people would choose Denmark over the U.S. if they were asked to make such a choice here and now. Jens Frederik Nielsen's remark at a joint news conference with Denmark's prime minister is the strongest by a representative of the semi-autonomous Danish territory since U.S. President Donald Trump renewed his plans to annex it. Trump said the U.S. needs to own Greenland to defend against Russia and China. The White House has suggested buying the island, but not ruled out the use of force to annex it. So you see that? And this is causing a stir within NATO and within the EU, so basically within Esau's kingdom. Because what? These are all Edomites. So, and that's also tied into prophecy, Revelation, the 17th chapter, the beast shall eat the whore, even though the whore is America and the beast being the EU, you have countries in the EU that's also part of NATO, and you have these EU and NATO countries which are affiliates. Because, well, like I said, they're all Edomites. All right? It says Denmark is a fellow NATO member, and Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen has warned that military force will spell the end of the transatlantic defense alliance. So basically says what? It says it will spell the end of the NATO, which Denmark is a part of. Now, we don't know how far they're going to go with this, and it's really up to the Lord how this is going to play out. The Lord already has it set out how it's going to play out, so it's going to play out just that way. But as we looking at it from the naked eye, and we looking at it from day to day, it appears that they're not coming to an agreement, and it appears that Trump is set on trying to take Greenland by any way he can. And and Denmark and the EU and NATO are against it. So now you have that's conflict, and that's conflict within our allies, because America is supposed to be part of NATO and supposed to be a major part of NATO, but that goes to prove that America is the whore, because it said that the nation lived deliciously off the whore. The whore sat on great waters, being the people. These nations, these countries, and America has been running NATO. America has the head say in NATO. Hell, America got a lot of the head say in the EU, but and that grip is, the Lord is breaking that grip more and more. All right, let me go back to the article. So yeah, it says Denmark is a fellow NATO member, and Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen has warned that military force would spell the end of the transatlantic defense alliance. Now, Trump said we're trying to purchase it, but if the purchasing way doesn't work, we'll go about it by another means. And what other means is that? Military force. And the Denmark's prime minister said that would spell the end of the transatlantic defense alliance, which is NATO. And remember when Trump first got in office, he was talking all types of shit against NATO. All right. So it says, despite being the most sparsely populated territory, Greenland's location between North America and the Arctic makes it well placed for early warning systems in the event of missile attacks and for monitoring vessels in the region, because that's why they want it. But and I just seen something else where they say they want to build a freedom city in there in Greenland, some shit like that. But also, what's the main thing? What? Nuclear missile deterrence. The deterrence from what? The enemies. Because why? They're trying to build a Golden Dome, but they're trying to have any way to where they can have their deterrence strong, their defense strong from credible threats. One of those threats being Russia. You got North Korea. You got China, Iran. You got all these countries that's saying that they have things capable or possible of hitting the U.S. It says Trump has repeatedly said that Greenland is vital to U.S. national security, claiming without evidence that it was covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. The U.S. already has more than 100 military personnel permanently stationed at its Pitufik base in Greenland's northwestern tip, a facility that has been operated by the U.S. since World War II. So they already have a lot of claims to Greenland. But here it is, what this devil? Well, he's not satisfied, so he wants it all. He wants more. He wants it all. Oops, shit. Matter of fact, let me get that scripture real quick. What's that? Habakkuk. So this is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 5, and it reads, and I'm sorry, verse 4, it says, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith. Now, whose soul was lifted up is not upright in him. So who ain't they pretty lifted up right now? You got Trump talking hella shit. You got America talking hella shit. Talk about, yeah, we could do this. Yeah, we need this. Yeah, we should take this. Yeah, if they don't do this, we'll do this. They're talking big talk. And now you have all these other countries, including their own allies, which whether it be in NATO or the EU, talking against America, which goes into what? Revelation, the 17th chapter, which says the beast represent the EU, and the whore represent America, says what? The beast shall hate the whore. So that means that the conflict has to start somehow, and we might very well be in that conflict between the EU and America, which is the beast and the whore. It says Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5, and it reads, yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as deaf, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And that's what the devil's been doing. He will to him all peoples, taking what he wants, his desire, he cannot be satisfied, he can't have enough. He always has to take, steal, destroy. It said his desire is as death. Or is it desire as hell? The desire is hell. It said, a desire is hell and is as death. That's what this devil brings. Death, hell, destruction, unrighteousness, wickedness. That's what this devil's about. That's what he do. I'm going to read that in NLT. So this is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5 in the NLT, and it reads, wealth is treacherous, and the arrogant are never at rest. See? And isn't Trump very arrogant? It says the arrogant are never at rest. Because now, what is America doing? They always seeking what they could take from someone. Whether it be resources, whether it be people, whether it be this, that, and the third. And remember, this devil's not going to stop until Yahawah BAHASHAM actually completely stops him, man. Even though all the judgment coming to this place, you see how America's crumbling, but yet they still walking in great pride. Like they still hot shit, and they not. It says, wealth is treacherous, and the arrogant are never at rest. They open their mouths as wide as the grave, and like death, they are never satisfied. See, they are never satisfied. In their greed, they have gathered up many nations and swallowed many people. It says what? In their greed. Trump is a greedy person. Esau is a greedy person. But Esau, as far as America goes, the whore is the worst of all the Edomites. You know, along with Amalek, but look who America's number one ally is, Amalek. Look who could come through to America and push what they want on a country that they don't live in. Amalek. Amalek is always fucking Amalek, man. But it's all right though. It's all right though. The Lord said, "Rejoice and be glad." So this is your time to rejoice and be glad, because now you're in your last hurrah of rulership, man. You're in the last run, man. This is your last run, and you're not going to get another. The story goes, once Esau loses his kingdom, it's over for him, man. Off into captivity you go, and for the other nations. But Esau, you're going to be exterminated. And you're going to go down very, very horribly. You're going to go down very badly. Because of, most importantly, what you've done to the Israelites. Especially over here in America. Let me go back to the article. It says, under existing arguments with Denmark, the U.S. has the power to bring as many troops as it wants to Greenland, so they could do that. And I've heard talk that they've been coming up with plans and moving things around to where they're going to actually take Greenland. But you got these other countries, Denmark in particular, where Greenland is by or in, along with a couple other countries which are also allied to America, Edomite countries. They're saying, what? You can't take Greenland, and we're not for that. But Trump, America, they don't seem to give a fuck. Which is why how they going to, the beast shall hit the whore. Because now you're trying to impose on your own people. You're trouble within the house of Edom. It says, but Trump told reporters in Washington last week that at least agreement was not good enough. The U.S. had to have ownership, and NATO's got to understand that. You see that? You see that friction? It says, Trump told reporters in Washington last week that a lease agreement was not good enough. The U.S. had to have ownership, and NATO's got to understand that. Well, who the fuck are you? We're big bad America, I guess that's who. And it says, at the news conference in the Danish capital, Copenhagen, Frederiksen did not mince her words as she condemned the completely unacceptable pressure from our closest ally, which is America. And remember, this is your allies. This is your ally. It says she warned that there are many indications that the most challenging part is ahead of us. The Greenlandic Prime Minister said they were facing a geopolitical crisis, but the island's position was clear. If we have to choose between the United States and Denmark, here and now, we choose Denmark, he said. One thing must be clear to everyone. Greenland does not want to be owned by the United States. Greenland does not want to be governed by the United States. Greenland does not want to be part of the United States. You see that? That sounds like separation. That sounds like animosity. That sounds like beef. And that don't sound too much like they want to play ball with America. And again, Denmark, Greenland, whatever, being a part of NATO, that's not a good look. And you got other countries that's on the side of Denmark, aka Greenland. So we're gonna see how this plays out. It says the Copenhagen news conference comes a day before the Danish Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen and his Greenlandic counterpart Vivian Motzfeldt are due to travel to the U.S. to meet Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Okay, so they're supposed to meet. So when the fuck they supposed to come here? It says Denmark's NATO allies, major European countries, as well as Canada, have rallied to its support this week with statements reaffirming that only Denmark and Greenland can decide on matters concerning their relations, stressing they were as keen as the U.S. It says stressing they were as keen as the U.S. on Arctic security. They have said this must be achieved by allies, including the U.S. collectively. They also call for upholding the principles of the UN Charter, including sovereignty, territorial integrity, and the inviolability of borders. Concerns over the future of the territory resurfaced after Trump's use of military force against Venezuela on Saturday to seize its president, Nicolas Maduro. Trump previously made an offer to buy the island in 2019. Yeah, that's his first term. During his first presidential term, only to be told it was not for sale. But he don't seem to be getting the hint. Obviously, he's not reading the memo, because he still has in his mind that we must own Greenland. It says in recent years, there has been increased interest in Greenland's natural resources, including rare earth minerals, uranium, and iron, which are becoming easier to access as its ice melts due to climate change. Scientists think it could also have significant oil and gas reserves. See, there you go. Gas, oil reserve, natural resources. They want to reap all they want to take the fatness of the earth. That's legit. The fatness of the earth, the resources of the earth, minerals, oil, gas. And that's the end of the article. So hold up. So you had something else. Okay, Freedom City. Because all the meanwhile, because I also came across something else where they talk about they want to build a Freedom City in Greenland. And this is so this article is from yesterday, January 12th, and it's from Newsweek, and it reads, "Is Freedom City being planned for Greenland? What we know." It says, with the Trump administration repeatedly highlighting its intention to acquire Greenland, questions about a proposed libertarian-style Freedom City have resurfaced. It says Newsweek has reached out to Peter Thiel via Palantir, Mark Anderson via Meta, and Praxis via email for comment on Monday. President Donald Trump reiterated his desire to acquire Greenland either through purchase or occupation during a meeting at the White House on Friday, where he said the Arctic island was critical for U.S. security given the threats posed by Russia and China. So see, that's the only thing about themselves. They're not thinking about what's good for Greenland or what's good for Denmark or their NATO allies, EU allies. They just talk about what's good for America because they know America ain't shit. They know that America is under heavy threat. But yet they're not changing the way they are, because why? This is prophecy. This is the Lord setting up the divide between Satan's house, which is Esau's kingdom. And what better way than what their gods is? Money and power. That shall break them away. It's not going to be like who's the better country, like this, that, third. It's going to be about money, as it always is. It says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. Now, who loves money more than Esau? Who is more evil than Esau? It says, however, Greenland is officially part of NATO member Denmark's territory and has wide-ranging autonomy with its own extensive local government. A survey conducted last year by pollster Viria found 85% of Greenlanders rejected being part of the U.S., while Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen said a U.S. military invasion would spell the end of NATO, which both countries are part of. See that? That sounds like the beast hating the whore. So I'm going to read that real quick. Now, this is the book of Revelation, chapter 17, verse 1, and it reads, "And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters." Now, that great whore is the United States, Babylon the Great. All right? The many waters are the people. Hey, these countries, people on the earth in general, America thinks they could just do shit to anyone. Literally, they think they're allies, enemies, or whoever, man. And that's nothing but great pride. That's their pride. They're trying to go back to that whole back in the day takeover shit. But now you coming across your Edomite counterparts. It says, verse 2, it says, "With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication." That's what's been happening all these years, including their own allies, NATO, EU, Africa, the Asia. It says, "With whom the kings of the earth," all of them. It says, I'm reading the NLT. This is Revelation chapter 17, verse 2, and it says, "The kings of the world have committed adultery with her." And it's not talking about actual having sex. Obviously, it's talking about all of the great profits they made off of America, man. And now America is trying to be the big man on campus now. Trump said, what? Everybody's been making a lot of money off of us. When I say us, talking about the America. It says, "The kings of the world have committed adultery with her, and the people who belong to this world have been made drunk by the wine of her immorality. Immorality. Of her immorality." America. Now, even though these other countries, EU and NATO countries, that's Esau, but that's that's Esau's kingdom. So the Lord said, what? A kingdom divided against itself, how shall it stand? So how can Esau come up from this? He can't. It's all downhill from here. They're not going to all just come together and come to an agreement to be like, no, they say they want to take Greenland and nothing's going to stop them. It says, "So he said, he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns." Now, those 7 heads are the 7 governments. I believe, I don't want to butcher. Hold on, I actually have it. I know it's the Romans, the Spanish. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, the 7 heads. Yeah, yep. The Greeks, the Romans, the Spanish, the French, Germania Minor, and the British. All Edomites. All Edomite countries. All Edomite governments. And it says in 10 horns, and the 10 horns represent the EU. Now,